Hey Greg, let's talk bourbon. All right. So as part of my continuing series of blinding rye whiskeys, I put out a video like I don't know last week that I talk about how I've got 19 bottles and I want to see which one's the best. And so I have them in three different groups. I have a group of 6 that are the lower proof ryes. I have a group of 6 that are the single barrel strength ryes, and I have a group of 6 here that are finished or at least a little different. And so that's the group that I'm doing today. Here we have, just so you know, what I'm going to be doing with that is that each of these blinds, I'm going to take the top 2 winners, and they're going to go together with the other ones for a group of 6 that I'm then going to blind those winners to achieve who is the best rye overall. So let's see what we got here. So first off, we've got from barrel bourbon here. We got Seagrass, which is a rye that is finished in apricot brandy barrels. From Hard Truth, we have the caramel mash or caramel malt, which is not really finished in anything. What they did is they took the malted barley and they caramelized it before they put it in with the rest of the mash bill and made this whiskey. Kind of gives it a darker tone. Then we got Heaven's Door Refuge. This is 100% malted rye that is finished in sherry casks. And then we have Sagamore Double Oak. And we have from High West, we have Midwinter's Night's Dram. This happens to be Act 12, Scene 4. And this is finished in port casks. And then from Middle West, we have ported pumpernickel rye. So first off, they used pumpernickel rye instead of the regular rye used in rye whiskey. And on top of that, they then finished it in port casks. And then at the end here, the odd man out, which I talked about in the earlier video, is the New Riff malted rye, which is 100% malted rye. Not really finished in anything. They do make a version of this that's finished in sherry cask. Unfortunately, I don't have that one. But this was pretty good. However, it's the odd man out. I'm leaving it out of this because I got 19 bottles, and what I'm doing here takes 18 bottles. So I am, though, going to try this one against the rest of these here today, just to see how it would have gone. But the reason why I made this the odd man out is because this bottle, I blinded it a few times in the past, and it tends to not blind very well. It's a little soft on the nose, a little soft on the palate. It's a nice bottle to sit and drink with watching TV, but it just doesn't blind very well. So anyways, let's talk more about these bottles. Proof-wise, the proofiest of this group is the Seagrass at 120. The Hard Truth is at 117 proof. The lightest is Heaven's Door at 92 proof. The Sagamore's at 97 proof. And then these 3 are all at 100 proof. And in terms of price, the Seagrass is like $67. The Hard Truth here, I believe, was $88. The Refuge is $80, although I managed to get this for $40. Great deal. The Sagamore goes for like just under $80, like maybe $77 or so. And the expensive one on here is the Midwinter's Night's Dram, goes for $150. And Middle West ported pumpernickel rye goes for $100. So we'll see how there's nothing here that's too cheap, right? We're basically going from 70 to 150, but we'll see if one of these lower priced ones can take out the higher priced ones. Oh, and my predictions. All right. I don't really have a great feel for it, but I do have 3 bottles up here that I expect to do well, and I guess I would say I think that these 3 are going to be in the top 3. So that would be the Seagrass, the Sagamore Double Oak, and Midwinter's Night's Dram. My guess is that these 3 bottles are going to end up in the top. But we'll find out. All right. So I've labeled these bottles 1 through 6. And we're going to keep them in order over here. And those numbers correspond to numbers under the glasses. And I've got glasses here that are all mixed up. And they got stickers on the bottom with the number. And then I got one here that actually is labeled as Rabbit Hole. That is the new riff that I'll just be putting out there as a comparison. But anyways, I will refer to these glasses as A through F. Now let's get started, shall we? Glass A. And this definitely smells like a port. Oh, I still get the rye notes. Cloves, lemongrass. A little bit, maybe a little darker in the spectrum. Of course, you notice it's also dark in the glass. Because it's nice. We'll go to glass B. This has a stronger nose. Fruitier. I mean, there's a little bit of caramel. But I'm trying to put a finger on that fruit. And, you know, I think I just have to kind of call it more of a stone fruit. I don't know, almost kind of smells like peaches. Maybe there's a little clove in the background, but I don't really get a ton of rye notes from this. Kind of interesting. All right, glass C. You see this one's much lighter in color. And this one actually smells a little proofy, which is interesting because these glasses have been sitting out now for probably an hour. I do get some rye notes, some clove, maybe a little mintiness in this. I also get a little bit of fruitiness, like maybe a touch of vanilla and a little bit of pear. All right, glass D. Wow. This is a little lighter on the nose. Smells of rye, smells malty. You know, there's the clove. There's some lemongrass. And it smells like it's been finished. Not sure if it's been finished in sherry or port. But it smells finished. Alright, glass E. This one's quite interesting. A little bit stronger on the nose. I mean, I get the rye notes, sweet rye notes like honeysuckle and cloves. There's also, I believe, some finishing on this. But I'm not quite ready yet to kind of pinpoint exactly what that might be. But I believe there's also like a fruitiness to this, and I believe that it might be coming from the finish. That's nice. And glass F. Wow, this one is... This one's of a darker hue. Look, slightly muted from the last one, but not a lot. This one's in that darker range. Could be a port wine that I'm getting in a finish there, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that this is port. Could simply be oakiness. But it's definitely darker in the spectrum. All right. Well, let's come back here on the palate, back with glass A. I'm getting less port than I had last time. So in my last video, I guessed at a couple of the glasses because, you know, this is a blind, not a double blind. So what do I mean by that? So it's all mixed up. I don't know what's in what glass, but I do know which bottles appear in these glasses. So I call it a blind, a single blind. A double blind is where you got, you know, it would require a friend to come over, which I've done a few of those. And, you know, they pick, and they're just mysterious bottles. I'm sitting here looking at a bunch of glasses and I have no idea what's in them. So that would be a double blind. So this is only a single blind. And one of the problems with a single blind is you can't help but think about, I wonder which bottle this is, right? Now, my last video, where it was the lower proof ryes, I made 2 guesses, and I was wrong on both. Now, this one, I can't help but also start thinking about that, and I think these are more distinctive because they've been finished and so forth. So I have a feeling I might be able to do a better job of guessing these, even though that's not really what I want to try to do here. I say all that because I think I know which one this is. But I get, on one hand, I get a real carameliness out of this. Along with like a deeper rye notes. Maybe even into molasses. And but there's still the cloves there, and maybe a little confectionery sugar on top, and maybe a touch of oakiness to it. And you know, I hate to say it, but while my mind thinks of one of these bottles, there's actually 3 bottles that could be. I just think that I'm detecting a little bit of that distinctive taste that comes from the pumpernickel rye. Maybe I'm wrong. It could easily be the Sagamore, or it could easily be the Hard Truth. But I don't know. All right, this one, glass B. Boy, this one, nice strong nose, fruity. This is quite tasty. The nose is wonderful. On the palate, it's wonderful. Again, there's some darker notes in this, and there's also a darker hue to the glass, to the liquid in the glass. All right. 1, it's becoming very oaky, and 2, I'm getting a little bit of that plasticky note or artificial note. If you watch my videos, you know what that means. All right. Glass C. Now this one's quite light. It's also light on the nose. Very sweet. Wow. Pear. Like a really ripe pear. With some sugar on it. I think I'm also picking up some port finish to this one. There's also some cloves. There's also some citrus in this one. Yeah, definitely citrus. This one's quite interesting. And then there's also finishes out with a touch of baking spices, maybe a little cinnamon. Wow. There's fair complexity to that one. Glass D. This one's tasty. Sugary, malty. Caramel. Still has the cloves back there, but it's in the background. Little cinnamon, little baking spice. Even maybe chocolate. I don't know. Possible. And I don't necessarily pick up any finish on that one. God, I think I know what all four of these are so far. I'm probably wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. Glass E. And I think I know which one this is. Fruity, sweet, syrupy. And like I said before, I thought that fruitiness came from the finish. But you know, there is some oakiness to this. Kind of comes in at the back. A little bit of baking spice. A little bit of just kind of straight up oaky, wood flavor, kind of in the back. Probably the most viscous of all of these. That's really tasty. And glass F. You can definitely taste the finish on this. So the rye itself in this glass is light. This bottle or this nose is a little light. The palate's a little light. Not a ton, right? Not really noticeable. Not, I've had blinds in the past where I've had glasses that just kind of disappeared. That's not the case here. But it is a little lighter. That being said, most of the flavor on this one is coming from the finish. It kind of has that, what would you call it? That red wine taste, right? I think this is a sherry finish. That dryness. That's the word I think I'm looking for. That taste you get from a dry red wine. But at the same time, though, the whiskey in here is sweet. So you kind of got that dryness of what I think is the sherry. I think that's what bottle this is. Because it definitely tastes like red wine, dry red wine. But at the same time, there's a sweetness to it. And the sweetness is definitely a rye. I mean, I get, like some cloves and honeysuckle kind of coming from the rye, combining with that finish. Okay, I'm probably wrong, but I think this is Middle West. I think this is Sagamore. I think this is Midwinter's Night's Dram. I think this one here is the Hard Truth. I think this one I might have these two mixed up. And this last one here is the Heaven's Door, the sherry finish. Yeah, I think this is the Seagrass, and this is the Hard Truth, and this is the Heaven's Door. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't try to do that, but when they're finished, and they're finished in different ways, there's a lot to work with in terms of trying to figure out what's what, and I'm trying not to do that, but you can't keep your mind from doing it, right? Just for the fun of it, here's the new riff. Very light nose. Lightest nose of the bunch. Oh, wow. You know what? It has the same sweetness that I get in this one, which would make sense. Because the Heaven's Door and this bottle here, they're both 100% malted rye. The only difference is that in the Heaven's Door, they then finish it in sherry. Yeah, there's a lot of similarity there. All right. I now need to figure out which one I'm going to eliminate first. And I hate the fact that I put names to these, but you know, I'm not going to do that in the next one because they'll be much more similar. Okay, well, first one out. Wow, I'm kind of enjoying it though. I'm liking that right now. That sweetness with the sherry. It's nice. So I've had, if this is indeed the sherry finished bottle here, I've had this several times here over the last week or two, and I think I've always thought it kind of, middling, kind of so-so. But here in this lineup, I've got some dark stuff in here. And I'm finding this one here that I think has a sherry finish very refreshing. On the other hand, though, that dry wine kind of flavor does hold it back, which is odd because I like sherry finishes. And what's also odd, and why I'm not super confident in all what I'm doing here, is that normally I would say I would think I could pick this out of a lineup, right? This Seagrass. And I'm not really being blown away by any of these as saying, boy, this is apricot. Although I think it's this fourth one, the letter D. But, This one here, letter E, it's getting really oaky, really dark, really, I don't know, kind of dry. I'm going to go E out first. There's a lot of them that I think could. This is hard because everything is so different. You know, it's very much comparing apples to oranges in this blind. And it makes it difficult. And I think that if you put this blind in front of 10 different guys, you'd probably get a fair number of different lineups. Maybe you might even get 10 different lineups. But this glass here, it's really starting to get kind of, it starts out really nice. Then it starts headed down the oaky road, and it's almost starting to get astringent. And it's dark. And while I enjoy the molasses and maybe even into a little bit into a chocolate, I'm going to put that one out first. So that's going out in 6th place. You know, this could be. I had said earlier that I think this is Midwinter's 9th Dram. But it could actually be the Seagrass, potentially. I could have those two mixed up. Hard to say. Those two are pretty damn. There's a lot of similarities in these two glasses. That one's just got to be the Sagamore. It's really good though. I like it. I like it. And I don't know how this can't be the pumpernickel. Very distinctive flavor. It's good. I think I might like the Sagamore better. Well, Glass B better. God, I don't want to be referring to it as that. Sorry. This whole blind is a little foobar, I guess. You know, if this new Rift was in, I would have put it ahead of this glass. That Glass E. Oh, I think it will be one of the next ones out. In fact, I think it would be. So, if this were actually like really in the blind, this is where the new Rift would go out. It would go out next. It's not bad though. It's got that simple sweetness to it. It's just really simple though. I don't know. Yeah, I'm starting to get more confused between these two. I'm pretty sure that one is Seagrass and the other is Midwinter's Night's Dram, but I'm not sure which is which. I'm no longer confident. This one's going out next. Letter F. That's the one that has the red wine kind of flavor to it. It's good. I was really enjoying it. But somebody's got to go. And it's a little too simple. I think that's why I put it out in, we'll call it 5th place, or is it? It'd still be 5th place. It just depends on whether or not you want to include this and say there are 7. All right. It's just a little too simple. So anyways, I'm getting a little cheese there. Kind of help reset the palate. All right. In 4th place, it's going to be letter D. And then in 3rd place, it's going to be letter A. My 2 favorites being left behind here, I've got letter B, which is oaky and fruity, sugary, maybe has a touch of that plastic note. And letter C, which I was commenting earlier, had a fair amount of complexity to it. Oh boy, here comes the mailman. I'm gonna drive my dog crazy. I just can't catch a break. You know, before I did this video, I tried to film it 2 times before this, and there were kids going back and forth, just driving this dog crazy. And I had to start over, and then I had to start over again. Fortunately, I hadn't actually started drinking yet. All right, that's enough now. I know, mail lady's here. All right. These two are really good in different ways. I'm having a hard time deciding which way I want to go because they're very different. And they could go either way. Just, it really would be like, well, how do you feel today? I'm going to go B out in 2nd with C in 1st. There you go. And I now have changed my mind on these. I now think that C is seagrass, and D is probably the high the high west. Well, let's find out. shall we? They're all very tasty. They're all very good. I really can't complain about any of them. The only one I might complain a touch about is the one that went out first. And that one's, as you drink it, it starts to get a little bit astringent a little bit. It starts to get oakier and oakier and gets a little astringent. Gets a little too dark. So in last place, I was correct in saying that last place belongs to Hard Truth. Let's put that over there. So, I'm correct in saying that that's Hard Truth. When I bought this bottle, really liked it a lot. And, I've drank quite a fair amount. I haven't had a bottle for very long. Maybe I have had it for a while. Yeah, probably had it for about 7 months, maybe. In the beginning, I drank quite a bit of it, and then I kind of stopped. And I guess the reason is that of this issue. So, it's really nice when you first start drinking it. But as you get further into the bottle, as you get further into your glass, bad things start to happen. It just gets a little astringent. It just gets a little just too dark, too bitter. It's just it's kind of unfortunate. I have heard similar comments about this bottle from SLB drinks, right? I've heard them kind of say that they weren't that big on the caramel malt and the chocolate malt. There's another one of this that's even darker called the chocolate malt. Unfortunately, I have to agree with them. It is what it is. All right. In the next place is where I would have put the New Riff. It's light, it's sweet, but it's light on the nose, it's light on the palate. It is sweet, but it's kind of a 1 or 2 note wonder, right? There's just not a lot there. And I'm kind of thinking that, I don't know if I'm so much of a fan of these, 100% malted rye, bottles. I don't know. All right. Let's call this 7th and 6th. So then in 5th place, bottle 3. And that is indeed Heaven's Door Refuge. So you could pick out this sherry finish a mile away. I thought so the first time when I came back to it. It was just no doubt. It was definitely a sherry finish. I like sherry finishes. If you really want a great sherry bomb, get a Glen Drosnick 15. Phenomenal. This one, I think, kind of gets held back a little bit. One, I think the sherry finish kind of gets really dry. And 2, the base whiskey here is 100% rye, sourced from Canada. So in other words, it's a lot like this. 100% malted rye. The only difference is they put that in a sherry cask. And so it adds that extra note, right? So where I said this is a 1 or 2 note wonder. Here with the Refuge, you basically have those same 1 or 2 notes, but now you're adding the sherry finish. I do like it. It's not a bad bottle. It's interesting. But I don't think it's crushable, right? I don't think you can just sit here and drink this. And particularly the dryness that comes through from the sherry, I think will keep you to 1 glass at a time. And that's unfortunate. All right. In 4th place, bottle 5. Well, okay, I fixed my mistake. I was wrong at first. I fixed it. Indeed, bottle 5 is High West Midwinter's Nice Dram. So, for a while I was thinking this glass was, seagrass. And then I changed my opinion. I mean, this is sweet. It's got, now that it's been sitting here for a while and there's not much in there, I find, do you find this? When you start getting to a point where there's very little left in the glass, it gets sweeter and it turns more confectionery sugar and so forth. I don't know. Give me a comment if you notice that when you start getting really low, because right now there's not much left in this glass. If it seems to bring out the sugars when it gets real low in the glass. Anyways, this is real sugary at the moment. And you can taste the port. And you can taste the rye. But really it's got, I don't know, maybe 3 notes. It's good. It's a nice pour. But, I don't know. It belongs where it is. All right. In third place, bottle 6. I was correct in picking out the pumpernickel. It's hard not to. This bottle is very distinctive. Very distinctive. It has... I mean, there's a lot of bottles that are kind of lower on the register, right? The darker notes. But this is beyond that. This has just this whole other... Well, I mean, it's pumpernickel, right? It tastes like pumpernickel bread. It really does. You can tell it's been made with pumpernickel. You can also smell the port. It just has a real distinctive flavor to it. If you haven't bought this bottle, I mean, granted it's a $100 bottle, and it can be kind of hard to find. I know because they also have a sherry version of it that I saw once and didn't buy, and now I really wish I would have because I can't find it again. So the sherry version, I don't know. I just can't seem to find. I have the ported pumpernickel rye. It's really a nice pour. It's really different. Now, while the Refuge, maybe I would only do 1 glass at a time. But I still don't know if I would call the ported pumpernickel rye from Middle West, I don't know if I would call it crushable either. It's nice. It's good. It's different. I could have a couple glasses, maybe 3. But it's not like something you would want to sit and just drink all night long. It would, I think that distinctive flavor, that darkness to it, I think would kind of get to you after a couple of glasses. And you'd be moving on to something else. But it deserves a spot because it's just so different. All right, in second place, bottle 4. Sagamore. I mean, I knew this was Sagamore right away. Again, this one's also, now that it's getting just a little bit left, it's getting sweeter, it's getting sugarier. But it's got that oakiness to it, but then it's also got that... leave me a comment if you get this. There's a artificial plasticky kind of note to it. It's not terrible. It's not bad at all. I mean, but it's there, right? So I just put it in second place because it's really good. And I don't know what causes that artificial flavor, and maybe it's nothing artificial at all. But it's there. I get it in Sagamore. I get it in Glens Creek products like OCD5 and Cafe Ole. I also get it a little bit in Cedar Creek, or no, Cedar Ridge products. And I don't know what may be different that they're doing at Sagamore and at Cedar Ridge and at Glens Creek. I don't know. But it's there. Nonetheless, this is a really good bottle. And it's a really good glass. It's just really tasty. And I think I like this better than I like Sagamore 9. I think I'm pretty certain about that. Yeah, this double oak is better than Sagamore 9. Well, we only got one bottle left. Number 1. There you go. Seagrass. So I incorrectly picked it in the lineup at first, but then corrected my error. I thought the apricot brandy was going to really stand out. And in this lineup, I could tell it was finished, but I couldn't necessarily tell it was apricot. I can also tell it's fruity. All right? So, in this lineup of finished or at least different tasting kinds of ryes, that really kind of hid that apricot note. But look at, there it is. Now I will say that this is the proofiest of all the bottles up here, right? This is 120 proof. But the next one was here at 117 proof and it finished last. So while the proofiest bottle won, the second proofiest bottle lost. So I don't know. Take it for what you want. So there you go. There's my conclusions. That's what I end up with here. And so going on into the next round of, for the winner's circle or whatever you want to call it, these two bottles are going to move on. The Bourbon Barrel, the Barrel Company Seagrass, and the Sagamore Double Oak. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something about some of these bottles. I certainly did. And I'll see you in the next blind. Peace out.